Hi there, it's Dina here from Bear Designs. Today I'm going to show you how I painted this watercolour. It's just of seagulls flapping around in the sky. It's a very quick and easy watercolour. I wanted to get away from all the detail and spending ages trying to get every single thing right on the picture. Just wanted to loosen up a little bit and have a bit of fun with my painting. So I'll take you through it step by step. And remember, this tutorial really is just about developing confidence with working with wet paint on wet paper and just having a bit of fun really with your painting. First thing I'm going to do is sketch out my seagulls very lightly on some watercolour paper. I think one of the best techniques you can learn when you're starting out with watercolour is to sketch really lightly so that your pencil barely makes a mark on the paper. Then if you go wrong, it's easy to rub out. And then once I'm happy with the placement of my birds and the way they're sitting on the paper, I'll go over and add some more depth to that drawing. Once I'm just using here a normal school pencil, it's a HB pencil, just to sketch it all in with, and with that light touch I can quickly rub it out. There you can see I'm just making the marks more deliberate, rubbing out any marks, lines that I don't particularly want to keep. You don't want them all on your finished painting. I'm using here, it's a Derwent dark wash pencil. It's slightly water soluble, so it will give me some depth of colour to go in. I'm going to be quite careful when I'm putting the watercolour over this because it will go very muddy very quickly. If you don't fancy doing this step, don't do it. Just keep your pencil drawing as it is and then go in at the end of your painting with your dark. I've just added some water. I think my camera conked out there for a minute or two. So I've just added some water to that dark wash to add the shadows in on the seagulls. And actually at this stage I quite like the picture, but my intention was always to add some random colour, so that's what I'm doing. Just softening those dark edges with a big brush soaked in water there. I'm going to do wet in wet technique, so I'm going to damp the paper inside the birds with that water, and now I'm just dropping in some nice purple there. I'm using a sponge, it's nice and wet, and I'm just bobbing it down onto the wet surface of the water and really letting the water do its thing with the paint. And it wasn't doing its thing fast enough, so I went in with my big brush and added lots more paint. You can see how it's reacting with that black onyx wash. It isn't sitting as smoothly over that as it is over the rest of the paper, but it adds extra detail. Now I'm just using a clean brush to flick some paint around the edge, giving it that slightly ad hoc feel to the painting, so trying to get it to look as though it's been almost done in a snowstorm, I guess. I'm just neatening it up. So here I wasn't quite confident that I liked that purple entirely, so I've decided to put in some pink into it. I'm using a makeup sponge to dab the paint in onto the damp surface of the seagull. Keeping it damp all the time, let the paint flow around sort of under control. You don't want it to go too messy. And I'm just pushing the paint to where I want it to go. Again, doing a little bit of splatter. I'm very carefully just moving that paint across the surface of the paper. I don't want to pick up a lot of that dark wash that's underneath, otherwise I will end up with a sludgy mess, which is not what I want. I'm then repeating the same process again on my other birds. Here we're going for a nice blue, a bit of ultramarine, dabbing off the extra that I don't want. So I'm sort of staining the paper really more than anything, but still using with the paper quite wet, so the paper is helping spread the paint around and soften any edges, and then going in with a different shade of blue to add highlights and depth of colour. And just building up the colour as I like and having a bit of fun with it. And when I'm happy more or less with the bird as it is, it's time to put a bit of a splatter onto it. It helps connect the picture of the birds to the background as well without actually having to paint a background which is quite nice. Don't always want to have to bother painting a background. Now I've left the middle bird because what I actually did was leave the two birds, the top and bottom ones, to dry, because if I put a lot of water now in that middle bird and the two other birds are still damp, I'll get their colour bleeding in. So if you're doing wet and wet like I'm doing, be very careful where the water goes, because it will quickly bleed into areas where you don't want it. There we go, another really random colour choice, bright orange, cadmium orange I think it is. I'm just going in now and moving it around exactly as I've done with the other birds. I've wet the paper first, and now I'm just adding that paint in to the birds. I've decided to use that orange through the painting on the beaks and on the feet. Helps pull the painting together if you've got the same colour throughout. So I'm just going to dab it off like I've done with the other birds, just using the tissue there to dab it off. And then I'll go in and add the contrast colour to help build the depth into my bird. And I decided to go with the black washed for my contrast colour. That's a completely random choice. Through the painting now, just adding detail, shadows, just to give the bird some 3D effect. Working out what's behind what and where the light will fall. Keeping it very loose, not really putting an awful lot of thought into it. Just keep stepping back and having a look to see what it looks like. Trying to make a decision on whether it's finished or not. Yeah, for some reason I've got a big splatter in the middle which I didn't quite anticipate. That one's come from somewhere. Putting the detail in with a fine brush now for the eyes. And for some reason as well I've decided to put the TV remote control in the picture. I was obviously doing something with the TV, probably simply switching it off, hopefully, I don't know. Anyway, it's there for your delight. And there we have the finished picture with my 3 seagulls. I really enjoyed doing this. It was a very quick, fun activity. It's a nice way to loosen up your painting if you think you're getting it stuck down in detail. So have a go, give it a go. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Bye now.